The Pokemon trading card game on the Game Boy Color, or specifically in this case, the 3DS Virtual Console. Wow, this game was so amazing. I absolutely love this game. I had this game back in the day as a kid, like back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I'm not going to lie, when I played this game as a kid, I really didn't get that much enjoyment out of it, mainly because I didn't really know how to read back then. You gotta realize I was around 6 to 7 years old, maybe even 8, and the amount of reading that I was able to do was like the very basic words, because obviously I was a little kid. But now that I'm an adult and I could fully read, man, this game is so much fun. Let's take a look at this game. Now, when it comes to the 3DS Virtual Console, something I want you to keep your eye on is look over here. A really cool effect is they'll cycle through 3 different in-game photos to look at. And I just think that's just such a cool small feature to look at. Now let's go ahead and look at this video. Man, I know I've seen this video quite a few times. This is a good video, so let's take a peek. Yeah, man, if that video doesn't get you pumped to play this game or what, I don't know what will. Let's look at the description right here. And here I'll pause and you could read it. Now, the one thing that I remember about this game a lot is, man, the music in this game is just absolutely amazing. It probably has some of the best Game Boy music I've ever heard. There could be better. I know that there are a few other really good Game Boy tunes, but man, this game just hit it out of the park when it came to the music. And let's look at the photos. Now, I know when it comes to the Pokemon card game, I do have to admit, I was a little surprised that Nintendo didn't do more with this idea or this trading card game series. Now, they did make a sequel to this game that was on the Game Boy Color and that was only released in Japan. But you have to know Japanese in order to play the original copy of that game. Now, I do know that, and here's the ratings, and I do know that that like mod people, there are ROMs out there, or ROM hacks, where people did English patches on this where you could play the sequel to this game in full English. But just imagine real fast if, like, why didn't they make a Game Boy Advance version of this game, or a DS or 3DS, and they could have like updated and did more modern cards of that era. There's just so much that they could have done. There's quite a few Pokemon series that I wish that they would have just continued, like the Pokemon Stadium games, the Pokemon Puzzle League and Puzzle Challenge series, which, by the way, I love those games. But man, this game reminds me of just a really good time of when Pokemania was just so big. Oh my goodness. So here's the story. When I was in the 3rd grade, Pokemania was just so big. And I just remember I would take my, I had a whole bunch of Pokemon cards that I collected, and I would take my cards to school. And when we had free time, which we had free time quite a bit, me and a few of my friends we would just play with each other. Now, we didn't play by the official rules. We made up our own rules because we were like little kids at that time. But it was just so much fun, just bringing my cards to school and playing with the Pokemon trading card game, playing with our own rules. We did the same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh as well, because Yu-Gi-Oh was really big back in the day too. But I remember halfway through that school year, I had to transfer to a completely different school, one that was like 40 miles up north to where I previously went to. And at that school, they completely banned everything Pokemon, specifically the Pokemon cards. Pokemon cards were not allowed at that school. And it was so interesting that I got to experience both a school that allowed Pokemon trading cards and a school that banned it. But I felt like the school that banned the trading card game, I felt like Pokemania was so much more bigger, and it was so cool. Like, kids at that school made these paper maches of like trainer badges, and also there's this one kid that invented his own trading card game where he made his own custom cards, and it was of Kirby, the video game character Kirby, and he made his own Kirby cards, and it was just pretty cool. Now, the Kirby cards didn't look good. I mean, it was like a little kid that made them, but that just tells you how big Pokemon cards were back in the day. And man, like I said, it just reminds me of a really good time. But if you really enjoyed this video, please consider checking out my other videos where I go over a whole bunch of other 3DS Virtual Console games. I'll link those videos in the description box. And tell me if you enjoy this game, or if you have any thoughts of the Pokemon trading card game. Yeah, definitely. And I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.